Let's start by looking at different layout elements. These elements define how you fill your page, and how you do this depends on the subject, of course, and on the effect you want to achieve. And we'll look at that in a little bit more detail later. In a typical sketchbook, there will be drawings in different shapes and sizes, large and small ones, sometimes a central big one, like in this drawing of a leaf, and sometimes several small drawings, like in this example. You can also vary the size of the different drawings on your page. This will add visual interest. You can add color or leave your drawings in black and white. Using differently colored inks can also be nice to get variety, and you'll see this from time to time in my sketchbooks. So for example, on this page I used differently colored ink for the Latin names of the species. And then there's text. You can have a title, like here, emphasized with color. You could also use different text styles on your page. I often do this for Latin names. Again, you can add notes and text blocks, or you could have elements like arrows or lines pointing to the text. This makes it look a bit more like a diagram. And you can add frames or boxes around my text. This is a great way to work out a layout after you've drawn the elements on your page and need a way to structure them. Another great element in a nature sketchbook are questions. Like in this case, I wasn't sure about the correct fungi species, so I added a question mark along with my observations so that I could check what I found at home. You could also add a list of species that you saw or write down their interactions. What you write down is really up to you. Then there's one category that can be called metadata. There are additions like date, time, location, temperature, measurements, or Latin names. On this page I added the date and time for each small weather sketch and a note about my observations, and sometimes I wrote down when the sun went up and down. This metadata can turn a sketchbook into scientific data. So if you write down when the first winter guests come to your garden each year, or what the weather looks like at a certain time of the day, then you'll collect valuable insights, and these are measurable. You can also include elements to your page that can further deepen your observation. So you can learn more about your subject through using tools like noting behavior, drawing diagrams, exploring details, or observing over time. These are techniques that you will sometimes see in ID books or scientific illustration or in exhibitions. So basically in places where you communicate science through words and pictures. In these examples on the left, you can see that I took notes next to my drawings to keep track of the behavior of the bird, and I also noted some of the features. And together, the notes and the drawings helped me to memorize the bird better. And on the right, there are different diagrams of bird wings and other anatomical structures, some with color coding and some just in black and white. These diagrams are helpful to learn about the anatomy of animals, and it's good to study and to know these details when you're drawing. At least they're very helpful for me. On the left page here, I focused on the details of a flower head and literally took it apart with my smaller drawings. So this is another type of anatomical study, and it can help you understand the subject. And all of the small drawings, and note again the difference in size of the single drawings that I made. So all of the small drawings describe what's going on in the big drawing. On the right, you can see what a timeline could look like. So if you observe animals, it can be interesting to look at their behavior over time, and several sketches next to each other or centered around a static object like this tree in the sketch here can help with this. So on the bottom right, there are more diagrams of a bird head. Then another great layout element are maps. They combine several of the other elements above, like text and image, and of course the map itself. All of this can give further insight and interest. Plus, maps are really fun to draw. You can add notes around them, small sketches or thoughts or diagrams, whatever you like. And your sketchbook can also be the place for more informal pages, like you could add what you think or what you felt, quotes or poems, or you can also add dialogue in text or combined with pictures, like in this example. One of the most important elements in a sketchbook is white space. This is the area on the page that you leave free, so the space between the drawings and the text elements. White space is an integral part of any design, and it is used to achieve visual balance on a page. It can give the page a strong focus and a rhythm or a flow. It creates sort of a breathing space on your page. White space can be described as the areas between different elements, but also the white areas between lines or text blocks. These are also important. If you have too little white space, your page will look very crowded, and if you have too much, it can look a bit empty. And here is another example for white space. So all in all, there are many different elements you can make use of to add variety to your sketchbook pages and make them more interesting. You don't have to use every method I've shown here, but try out everything at least once to see what you like, and your sketchbook will come together in your rhythm and your own style over time. If you found this video useful, it's part of a longer video class called Sketchbook Composition. In this video course, you will learn how to create beautiful and interesting sketchbook pages. It will introduce you to the basic layout and composition principles that you can use on each page and in each sketch so that your sketchbook will look better immediately. I will share my favorite tips and strategies that I use and introduce the design principles behind each one. You will learn how to add different elements, where to put them on each page, different compositional approaches, and how to create variety in your sketchbook. You'll learn these design concepts step by step with lots of examples and sketching demos that you can adapt to your own way of working. The whole course has over 90 minutes of video, so I hope you will join me for this class to explore how to make your sketchbook pages look more beautiful.